All right, guys, 7.3 is talking about multivariable linear systems. What does multi mean? Many, all right? We've been talking about linear systems with two variables, two equations. Today we're going to talk about 3 equations, 3 variables. Everything's going to be to the first power. That's why what makes it a linear system. But you're going to be given equations like this. 3 equations, 3 variables. Notice you want to have your x's on top of all the x's, y's on top of y's, z's on top of z's, and then equals your constant. Everybody see that? We're going to go from 3 equations, 3 variables to working our equations into what's called row echelon form. Looks like stair step. There's going to be 3 variables in the first equation, or first line, 2 variables in the second, 1 variable in the third. When you write your answers, you're going to write it not as an ordered pair, which would be an x to y, but you're going to write it as an ordered triple because there's 3 of them, and it's an x value, a y value, and a z. Everybody understand that? Okay. So if you see something and it says, please write the equations in row echelon form, all that means is you want the stair step, 3, 2, 1, kind of like that. All right, so we're going to talk about, really quickly, I'm going to go through this because this is simple. If I asked you guys to solve this, what are your answers? Without me explaining this, you should be able to do that. How would you figure out what x, y, and z equal? You could take z and do what? Plug it in right there, right? So y plus 4 times 2 equals 7. Y plus 8 equals 7. Subtract 8 from each side and get what? Y equals -1. Okay. And then what would you do to find x? Plug those 2 back in. So x minus 2 times -1 plus 3 times 2 equals 9. X plus 2 plus 6 equals 9. X plus 8 equals 9. So x equals what? 1. So you would write your answer as an ordered triple. The x value first, the y value second, the z value third. And there's your answer. How do you know for sure that you're right? What could you do? Plug them back in. Yeah. Okay, that's called back substitution. You're just taking one thing and going backwards and substituting back in. That's pretty self-explanatory, pretty simple. So if you are asked, all right, so on WebAssign, you're going to be asked, are the following solutions? Or do the ordered triples satisfy the equations? Whatever. All they're saying is, here is an x value, a y value, and a z value. Plug it in to all 3 and make sure they work. Sometimes, guys, they'll work in 2 and not the third one. They have to satisfy all 3 of the equations. Everybody understand that? So you can't take a shortcut and just do one of them. What I need to see from you is just this. If I'm going to check, and I need you to check all 3 of them, I'm not going to do them all right now because I'm going to label this equation 1. I want to get through everything today so you guys have the lesson. But I'm just going to show you what I want for all 3 of them. I'm going to do it with just the first. So I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to plug in 1 for x, minus 3 times 0 for y, plus 2 for z, and I get 3, right? So when I simplify this, this becomes 0. What's 1 plus 2? Does 3 equal 3? Yes. Then you would do the same thing for the second and for the third. Just make sure that this ordered triple satisfies all 3 equations. Everybody got me? All right, let's scoot along here. Again, we're going to go through these questions quickly because this is very basic. I do need to see your work, though. So you're going to show me that you take z and you plug it in right here. So you have y plus 2 times 8 equals 6. Y plus 16 equals 6. I'm going to subtract 16 from both sides. And y equals -10, right? And then I'm going to take 2x minus, I'm going to plug in y as -10, plus 5 times, plug in 8 for z, equals 24. So 2x plus 10 plus 40 equals 24. 2x plus 50 equals 24. Subtract 50 from both sides, yeah? 2x equals -26. So what does x equal? -13. That negative sign's a big deal. If you leave your answer like this, you're going to get points off. Your answer should be written as how? an ordered triple, an x, and y, and a z. So you have negative 13, comma, negative 10, comma, 8. All right, these problems are super straightforward. You plug back in, make sure it works. Super straightforward, but it's so easy to misassign, rewrite things incorrectly. Just pay attention to what you're doing. We had a lot of silly mistakes on our test, even when you had a calculator in front of you. So just make sure that you guys are taking your time. Right? Is everything going to work out to a beautiful whole number? No. But trust yourself and your math abilities, and you guys are all right. All right, so here's the part that can be a little tricky. All right, this is in words how we're going to do this. You're going to pick two equations, cancel one of them so you're going to get rid of x's. That's going to find your new equation. Then you're going to take the first and the third. You're going to combine them and you're going to get rid of x's. Then you're going to take the two that you had left over and combine them and get rid of. All right, this is very confusing word-wise. Let me show you how to do it algebraically, okay? First things first. Okay, write this down. First equation has to, whoa, I'm not sure what happened there. Has to start with positive 1x, right? The coefficient of your x in the first equation that you use has to start off with a positive 1. All right, now, what I mean by that. We have a set of equations right here. I have 3 equations with 3 variables. You guys see that? Yes? We need to first put it into row echelon form and then use back substitution to find what the x value, the z value, and the y value are. I'm not sure why I just said those out of order, but x, y, z. So our first step is going to be find the row echelon form. Find the stair-stepped equation. So your first equation should have 3 variables. The second equation should have 2. And the third equation should have 1. Now, there's different ways that you can do this. It's just really important. It's very important that you kind of find something that works for you and you stick with it. Now, yeah, in this case, guys, your first equation already starts with a positive 1x. So you don't have to do anything to it. But just say it didn't. Say this was a 2, this was a 4, this was a 6, and this was an 18. Is there anything you could do to that equation to have the first x, to have the x coefficient be a positive 1? You can divide everything by 2, all right? All of your mathematical things that you guys know how to do to get rid of fractions, to multiply by denominators, whatever. You can use all of your algebraic skills to do that. If the first equation doesn't start with a positive 1, but the second one does, then just move that one to the top. It's not rocket science. Just make sure that the first equation you write down over here starts with a positive 1x. So I have positive 1x minus 2y plus 3z equals 9. All right, that's my first equation. So my second equation, I want it to have 2 variables. So the way that we do that, every single time we're going to do the same thing. Take the first equation and the second equation. We're going to eliminate x's. So I'm going to write x minus 2y. Take your time writing everything down so you don't make mistakes. And then I have negative x plus 3y plus z equals negative 2. I want to eliminate my x's. Do I have anything I really have to do here to make the elimination happen? No, they're already opposites, so combine. Negative 2 and 3 gives me positive y. 3 and 1 gives me plus 4z equals 9 minus 2 is 7. Everybody agree? Okay, so that's your second equation right here. Y plus 4z equals 7. So my last equation should have how many variables? My first equation has 1. My second equation has 2. The third one should have 3. 3, 2, then 1. So I'm going to take my first and third, and I'm going to eliminate x's again. So the reason I always do this in the same sort of order, I like to do things the same way every time. It kind of gets you kind of some sort of flow going, some sort of process that is very fluid. What would I have to multiply the top by to make my x's cancel? Negative 2, okay, throughout the entire equation. So this becomes negative 2x plus 4y minus 6z equals negative 18. Does everybody agree? Okay, so this is no longer here. And now when we combine, that cancels. I have negative y minus z equals negative 1. Agreed? All right, well, I wanted my third equation to just have one variable. What do you think I could do with these two right here? Can I combine those two? Yes, that's what you're going to do every time. You're going to take first and second, eliminate x's. That gives you your second equation. Then you take first and third, eliminate x's. And then what you have left over, you put together to eliminate the y's. Now, does it always work out beautifully pretty like this? No, but for the first one, it will. It doesn't matter which equation you put on top and which you put on the bottom. You're just going to use the elimination method. So now we're going to eliminate our y's. What happens to my y's? They cancel. So what's 4 minus 1? I have 3z equals 7 minus 1 is 6. So what does z equal? 2. So I have up here z equals 2. Do I now have my three equations with three variables in row echelon form to where it goes 3, then 2, then 1? Okay, that's the first part of your answer. The original question said to solve, said to find x, y, and z. We have not done that yet, but we've gotten ourselves to a place where we can use back substitution to figure out what your ordered triple is. So that is part one of your answer. Now we're going to take z equals 2, and we're going to say, well, y plus 4 times 2 equals 7. Y plus 8 equals 7, so y equals what? Negative 1. And now we're going to take x minus 2 times negative 1 plus 3 times z is 2 equals 9. So x plus 2 plus 6 equals 9. X plus 8 equals 9. What does x equal? 1. So your ordered triple is x is 1, y was negative 1, and z was 2. That's the second part of your answer. Can I give you 10 of these to do on a quiz? No, because we still have a lot of other things we got to work on. Like this is a very time-consuming process, but it's not incredibly hard. You just have to be organized. You have to be organized. Yes, ma'am?
What was the phrase that you said when you were using the y plus 4z equals 7 that we combine those two equations?
I just say you.
How do we know which one to pick?
It doesn't matter.
It don't stand out for which one to use. Like that one we knew because the y's would cancel out easily.
You always use whatever you have left over here.
So the last equation and the first?
Every single time, it'll work like that. Let's go on to another one. All right, this is a good example here. Does my first equation start off with a positive 1x? No. Could I do anything to that to make it a nice positive 1 and have pretty numbers throughout the whole thing? Pretty numbers? No. If I divide everything by 2, I'd have 1/2 y, 3 over 2, and then 9 over 2. That's not pretty. But what do you notice about one of the equations? Does one of them start with a positive 1x? Yeah, so you can use this one. Just because it's second doesn't mean anything. I personally like to rewrite them. I like to rewrite so I don't get myself confused because it's really easy to look back and forth, back and forth, back and forth and make a mistake. So I'm going to rewrite this with that one on top. X minus 2y plus z equals 8. And then it doesn't matter which one you put underneath, just as long as you have them both written correctly. So I'm just going to switch this spot. 2x plus y plus 3z equals 9. And then negative 4x plus 3y plus 2z, let me write that differently, 2z equals negative 4. Now, when I was doing this with A period today, I just miswrote. I switched the 8 and the 9, and I got in the middle, and I was like, wait a second. So just be careful. All right, so let's pretend like these are here. So our row echelon form, we need 3 variables in our first equation. First one has to start with a positive 1x. It does, so we're good. So x minus 2y plus z equals 8. Now we're going to do the same thing we just did a second ago. We're going to combine 1 and 2, and eliminate the x's. I like to do things on the left-hand side, the right-hand side, and then it kind of like shows, ooh, the left and the right come together. So I'm going to write x minus 2y plus z equals 8. And 2x plus y plus 3z equals 9. Check just to make sure you rewrote it correctly. What would we multiply the top equation by for the x's to cancel out? Okay, negative 2 throughout the entire equation. So this becomes negative 2x plus 4y minus 2z equals negative 16. So what happens with 2x minus 2x? Cancels. What's y plus 4y? 5y, okay. What's 3 minus 2? So plus 1z equals, what's 9 minus 16? Negative 7. All right. Does my second equation that we just discovered have two variables? Yeah. So there we go. 5y, right underneath here. 5y plus z equals negative 7. So we're going to do the same thing again, but in this case, we're going to take which two? We're going to take 1 and 3 and eliminate x's. So x minus 2y plus z equals 8. Negative 4x plus 3y plus 2z equals negative 4. What are you going to multiply the top by? So x's cancel. Positive 4, good. So I have 4x minus 8y plus 4z equals 32. I wrote 6, 32. What happens to my x's? They cancel. What's 3 minus 8? Negative 5y plus 6z equals what? 28. Now I'm trying to get my last equation to have only one variable. Do you see how we've eliminated x's for both of them, and now we can take those two right here, and we can do what with them? We can combine these two in order to get the y's to cancel. Doesn't matter which one you write on top, so I'm going to write 5y plus z equals negative 7. Negative 5y plus 6z equals 28. Again, this worked out nice and pretty that we don't have to do anything to either of them. I can just go ahead and say what happens to my y, my 5 y's. They cancel. What's 1z plus 6z? 7z. And then what's negative 7 and 28? 21. And then divide both by 7, and you get z equals what? 3. So that's your final equation up here is z equals 3. Now, have we answered this question? No. All we did was put our 3 equations with 3 variables into row echelon form, our stair step. So now we say, okay, well, let's figure out what everything is. If I know that my ordered triple I know that z is 3, so let's work backwards. So I have 5y plus 3 equals negative 7. Subtract 3 from both sides. 5y equals negative 10. Divide by 5. What's y equal? Negative 2. Okay, so now I know what y is. Let's find x. We're going back substitution. So x minus 2 times negative 2 plus 3 equals 8. So x plus 4 plus 3 equals 8. X plus 7 equals 8. What's x equal? 1. And there's your order triple. Now, a big thing I do have to tell you guys, right? Math books and all that stuff, they make questions to where they know how to put things in where you will make the common mistake. You have to take your ordered triple and plug it into the original. Don't plug it into here, because if you made a mistake, it's not. That's the way you discovered 1, negative 2, 3. So you won't find your math error there. You have to go back to the original and make sure that the ordered triple satisfies all 3 equations. There are cases where it'll work in 2, but not one of them. So just make sure it has to satisfy all 3. Does that make sense? Yeah? Okay. So make sure we got the hang of this. All right, this is set up for us like a layup. Why is this one already set up for us? What do you notice? The first equation starts off with a positive 1x, right? So let's just go ahead and say, okay, my first equation is x plus y plus 3z equals 7. So again, we're going to do the same thing we just did 2 other times. We're going to take 1 and 2 and eliminate x's. So x plus y plus 3z equals 7. 2x minus 4y plus z equals 7. What are we multiplying where? Top by what? Negative 2. We want those x's to cancel. So I have negative 2x minus 2y minus 6z equals negative 14. When I combine here, x's cancel. You have negative 6y minus 5z equals what? Negative 7? Okay, so there's my second equation. Negative 6y minus 5z equals negative 7. If you guys find that you made a mistake, I would not try and figure out where it was. I would erase it and start over. Because a lot of times it'll take longer for you to find your mistake than it is to just redo it. So now I'm going to take which two? First and the third. I'm going to take 1 and 3. And I'm going to say, okay, over here, x plus y plus 3z equals 7. 3x plus 5y minus 4z equals negative 6. What am I multiplying where? Top by negative 3. Okay, so negative 3. So I have negative 3x minus 3y minus 9z equals negative 21. All right, this is gone. So combine. My x's cancel. What's 5y minus 3y? 2y. Negative 4 and negative 9 is negative 13. And then negative 21 and negative 6 is negative 27. Yeah? Okay. I want my last equation to say one variable. So what do I do with these two that I have left over? There we combine. Does not matter. Like I just said, it does not matter what you put on top where. Look, I've been putting the first one on top. Now let me put the second one. It does not matter the order, just as long as you write it correctly. Somebody last period, they're like, oh, these numbers don't look right because they're big. That's okay. If we're going to eliminate y's, guys. Wise guys. If we're going to eliminate y, what do I need to multiply the top by? Okay, positive 3. Good. So I have 6y minus 39z equals negative 81. All right, you might feel like we started to make a mistake. Don't doubt yourself yet. Wait till we get here. Take your time. What happens to my y's? They cancel. What's negative 5 and a negative 39? Negative 44z equals, what's negative 7 and negative 81? Negative 88. Can I divide this? Yeah, negative 44. I get z equals what? Z equals 2. I don't know why I put 4. Z equals what? 2. All right, cool. So z equals 2. Now, guys, you're not always going to come out with beautiful, nice, pretty numbers, and that's okay. You could get some pretty gnarly fractions. That's all right, too. But there is the first part of your answer. You've taken the 3 equations with the 3 variables and put it into row echelon form. So now we're going to do what? Back substitution. I'm going to take that z, and I'm going to say negative 6y minus 5 times 2 equals negative 7. So negative 6y minus 10 equals negative 7. I'm going to add 10 to both sides. Negative 6y equals 3. When I divide here, guys, don't make a silly mistake. Does that equal negative 1/2 or 2? 1/2. All right, this is y equals negative 1/2. That's a fine answer. Once I know what x is, we'll have our ordered triple. So I have x minus 1/2, right, plus a negative 1/2, plus 3 times z was 2 equals 7. Okay, we have to work with fractions, no big deal. X minus 1/2. This is the whole number 6, correct? How could you write 6 as halves? 6 over 1 becomes what? 6 over 1 becomes what? 12 over 2, okay. Can I go ahead and change 7 into seconds? 7 over 1 is going to become what? 14 over 2? All right, just makes your math a little easier. So I have x plus 11 over 2 equals 14 over 2. I'm going to subtract 11 over 2, right? So x equals 3 over 2. Again, fractions are okay. Fractions are our friends, just like fish. So my ordered triple is 3 halves, -1/2, and 2. And what would I do with all 3 of those? Plug it into all 3 of the original equations. Everybody understand? Okay. All right, I have one more example I want to do. Okay, same thing. This one's going to look a little different. Just want you guys to be aware. We solve it the exact same way. Does my first equation start with a positive 1x? Yes, so we don't have to move anything around or anything. That's fine. So I have x minus 3y plus z equals 1. So take 1 and 2 again. X minus 3y plus z equals 1. 2x minus y minus 2z equals 2. What are we trying to get rid of? X's. So I'm going to multiply by -2. So -2x plus 6y minus 2z equals -2. X's cancel. So you have 5y minus 4z equals 0. Guys, there's nothing wrong with that. That's 2 variables equal to 0. That's fine. You could solve that. So that's my second equation. 5y minus 4z equals 0. Nothing wrong with that. So now we're going to do the same thing we've been doing. We're going to take 1 and 3. So 1 and 3. So I have x minus 3y plus z equals 1. X plus 2y minus 3z equals -1. All right, this one's not too bad to eliminate x's. What would I do? -1, right? Did you guys care which one I multiplied by -1? All right, I'm just going to go through and change signs. So this becomes negative, positive, this becomes negative, and this becomes negative. So when we combine, my x's cancel. 3 plus 2 is 5y minus 4z equals -2. All right, that's fine. Now what do I do to find my last equation? I'm going to combine these two. Good. I'm going to combine these two. So I have 5y minus 4z equals 0. And 5y minus 4z equals -2. You guys agree? Multiply by -1 to get y's to cancel? So I'm just going to go negative here. Change this sign. Change this sign. What happens with negative and positive 5y? Cancels. What happens with negative and positive 4z? Cancels. What is 0 plus 2? Am I left with a variable equals a number? No, I'm left with an untrue math statement. 0 equals 2. Is that ever true? No. So after all of that work, what is your answer? No solution. All right, that is a possibility. So just be aware. You guys have a WebAssign. It's not due until Tuesday because tomorrow we're going to do the second part, the partial fraction decomposition. It sounds a lot worse than it is, I promise. It's algebra heavy and it's a little labor intensive, but it's nothing like, it's not terrible, I promise.